cow! Hello again, everybody! Harry Carey here, and welcome to Behind the Wall, presented by Parky Jerky. I'm just kidding. Harry Carey isn't really here. It's me. It's Kane Jr. 88, and you are Behind the Wall, presented by Parky Jerky. On today's show, we are going to discuss some key points from this past weekend at Martinsville Speedway, give our race rating, hand out some awards, show off our favorite paint scheme from the weekend, and discuss the worst paint scheme of the weekend. And in fact, Tyler actually has a little story that he's going to tie into one of the awards. And we're also going to discuss a question that we all want to know, and of course do our fantasy recap and make our picks for Texas. So, gentlemen, what a weekend, man! It was a wild races, not just in Cup but trucks as well. What would you say your favorite parts about it were?
Just the racing, man. I mean, it's Martinsville, classic short track, beating and banging. I think we saw that, out of both races, and I always look forward to this track. It's my favorite one on the entire schedule, and it was just great to get what we all wanted out of the weekend.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, there was really no disappointments in either race. It was just classic short track racing, and that's what we were hoping for. I think we were kind of a little worried because they said they brought a new tire for both series. It was laying down more rubber and less fall-off times, but I don't think that really hurt anything. If anything, I think it helped. You had a couple grooves going, made the racing, pretty interesting.
Yeah, I agree. That the whole tire thing really worried me as well, and it was just like, man, I hope they really don't ruin the racing here, because that would just quite frankly piss me off. I didn't like the races last year, and what you saw in the Cup race was significantly better than last year. They had more passes for the lead, more overall passes, and hell, even more cautions, and just a lot more general race excitement. So, this weekend certainly was a success. Going into the truck race, there were certainly a few keeping Johnny Sauter, the two GMS trucks, and but there was still a lot of great, racing throughout the pack, and it looked like Christopher Bell was going to win that thing. Like, he had put himself in pretty good position, and then with 20 to go, he got a little bit aggressive. Sure, he was having to navigate some lap trucks, and yeah, Mr. Austin Cindric decided to throw a block even though he was getting lapped with 20 to go. What'd you think of that?
Pretty uncalled for. I mean, he's a lap down, and he's not going to really get anywhere, even if a caution comes out, I don't think. You don't just pull down on the leader. At the same time, I think Bell was a little too aggressive. He was probably getting pressured from behind. He was just trying to make sure he did everything he could to stay ahead of him, but in doing that, he kind of messed up his own line, got himself in a wreck. Just kind of a young driver mistake, I think, but would have been cool if he won, and he'll get one this year, or another one.
Well, he already got one, so but Chase Elliott came home with the victory, second career win in the trucks. That's his 7th overall NASCAR win, and obviously, with him being the only technical Cup guy in the field, that obviously made a lot of people real salty that he won the race. Cup driver, shaking my head. Well, okay, I get it. He's a Cup driver. He's a full-time Cup driver. Whatever. Okay? It really annoys me when, people want to just basically throw that label on him and kind of put him in the same sentence and circle as a Kyle Busch. Let's talk about that for a second. Kyle Busch has won, what, 50-some damn truck races? And Chase has won 2.
Something like that.
2!
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. People were just overreacting. I get you want to see a series regular win. I probably would have been more satisfied with that myself. But still, it's not really that big of a deal. Chase hasn't even won a Cup race yet, so people really need to lighten the hell up on that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not even close. Chase is using the lower series for experience. Kyle Busch is using it just to try to get more wins. The only thing that would have made it better is if Chase Elliott had a better paint scheme.
True. That truck was ass.
That number font.
Yeah, we're not even into paint schemes yet, but it was just terrible. It does not look like a competitive truck. It looks like shit. I don't get it. Ew.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
But anyways, back to this whole situation. I mean, obviously, like you said, Chase is using this for experience, and it almost paid off for him. I mean, he finished third in the Cup race, which, considering I want to say his best finish at Martinsville was like outside the top 10 maybe in the two races that he ran last year in Cup, but
Yeah.
he was very competitive today, and I think that experience that he gained running in the truck race, it really helped him. So
yeah, that was the whole point of running the truck race in the first
yeah,
place. He struggled at Martinsville in the Cup race, and that's the only reason why he wanted it. He wanted a little bit extra seat time. No big deal. I'm sure you won't see him race very much at all in the lower series in the coming years. He's not even scheduled to run an Xfinity race this year. But yeah, getting into the Cup race. Uh, well, obviously that was a great one. It was better than last year, and even though Kyle Busch did pretty much dominate the race. He led over half the laps, but you just saw kind of throughout the day that he wasn't he was vulnerable. Like he wasn't like out to like a 10-second lead or something like that. Like he was just unstoppable. He clearly, and especially as the race went on and you got towards the end, it looked like he could be beat, and obviously he was. Brad Keselowski came on with a fury and ended up getting him there at the end.
Yeah, it was really nice to see no one really dominated. Um, like you were saying at the end, that was great racing with Brad and Kyle Busch right up front, and it was really clean. That was the good thing about that, based on how Gibbs and Penske's history have been. But yeah, I mean, just another great race. The cautions were pretty even. Nothing really got too spread out. And the tempers got pretty. People started getting mad pretty early in that race too, and that was a sign of things to come, I think.
Yeah, there wasn't like really any big blow-ups or anything like that. I'd say more just normal Martinsville stuff. People just got into each other. Patience got short. Not really a big deal. I don't think anything that'll carry over into the coming weeks. At least that's what I saw. Short track racing, whatever, no big deal. I mean, you saw wrecks, spin outs and stuff like that, just accordion effects. The late race crash there with Hamlin. I don't even know what the hell that was all about, but it's stacked up, crashed a couple of cars. Junior obviously got taken out in that one.
and I was extremely salty about that.
Yes,
Let's just
know
get that
Kane.
out of the way.
We know Kane. You went on an emoji rampage in the group chat. So, as I'm sure most of Junior Nation did, even though I'm a part of that, I was disappointed as well, but not to that extent.
Junior spun a little earlier.
Yeah, I actually used it when he spun on the backstretch after he hit Blaney.
Yeah, which that's another thing. Like people were kind of getting on Blaney or whatever, or Junior's just kind of having fun with them too. I know wasn't a big deal to me.
He was joking on the radio that he was going to take away his beer privileges.
Yeah, that whole deal was just a racing deal.
No, saying it, it looks like this might be becoming one of the more fun rivalries we've seen lately. They're just having fun with it. Not that you want to see, people getting wrecked over it, but still, I mean, it's not like Kyle Busch versus Joey Logano.
Yeah, I know. They're not going to sit there and clamor into each other and destroy their races, Like I said, it was a small incident, short track deal, not something that should be any sort of issue at all. Shit happens. It's just kind of the way it is. And, you kind of saw that throughout the entire day with, many different people, especially Jamie McMurray. Shit happens there, but the shit that you can avoid, you should probably try doing that. I just can't get over how stupid it was of a decision to leave him out. I don't get it. When you got smoke billowing from the rear of your car, and you got like 400 maybe 400 laps left at that point, you pit your race car.
And you got a fast car too. He would have easily gotten the lucky dog had he pitted. Because we saw how fast that one car was before,
well, it
happened.
It's not. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not, just about how fast he was. I mean, you saw how many other people throughout the day that were several laps down ended up getting their lap back just due to the amount of cautions. For example, Joey Logano was 2 laps down at one point. That squinty douche ended up finishing 4th. Okay? That's my entire point. You know, Harvick
Hell,
was trash and finished on the lead lap, so it was
I mean,
possible.
hell, both Brad and Joey got speeding penalties on the first stop, and Brad ended up winning, and Joey finished fourth. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know
I
what to
actually think
say.
Joey had too many guys over the wall, but yeah, they both had a penalty in the same pit stop.
True.
Right.
But yeah, for McMurray, I mean, it was early in the race. Just be safe and pit. I mean, I don't get how that was so hard to decide. I mean, some people can get away with.
I mean, just ask Kyle Busch.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
and that was
he
a hard
got
hit too. So thankfully he's okay.
yeah, that was an extremely hard hit, and you know, basically he filled the role that Matt Kenseth had been filling of slamming the damn wall.
With
Yeah.
the driver's side.
He got the driver's side on that one, so pretty big impact. But yeah, you know, that was a great race for the lead there at the end. I have to also give a nod before we get to the end of this. The end of segment 2, holy shit, that was unreal. Like, it didn't look like it was going to be exciting because Kyle had such a massive lead. He probably had about a 3-second lead, and he wasn't exactly taking his time with the lap cars. You saw him getting in and out of the groove. Like, he'd go around the outside, go around the inside. And that's another thing. I'm like interrupting myself within saying something because I thought it was really cool how kind of there was a second groove almost. You know, it wasn't exactly the preferred lane, but you could really challenge people like running the middle, almost kind of high line. It was pretty high for Martinsville, but I liked how that was a thing pretty much all day. And anyways, getting in back to the end of the segment 2 there. Kyle was coming up on just a huge gaggle of lap cars that were trying to stay on the lead lap, and what do you know? You know, he just can't quite get around them. You know, the tires were really falling off. You know, it was so late into the run. They'd been under green for over 100 laps, and man, they just gave him such a hard time. And you know, on the white flag lap, Ricky Stenhouse moves him. You know, moves him to stay on the lead lap. That was just brilliant. And Chase Elliott just
awesome.
swoops right in to get the win on this stage. I mean, that's what NASCAR wanted by introducing the whole, stage racing thing. That's what they wanted to see. They wanted to see something more exciting and tension filled, and you got it with that stage for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike what Austin Cindric did, what Stenhouse did was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm glad to see the stage racing making a difference. You know, that was just a great finish. It might be one of the best finishes of the year. Who knows? You know, overall win or stage win. But yeah, I mean, Stenhouse did what he had to do because Kyle Busch was starting to lap Austin Dillon, so that would have put Stenhouse out of the free pass position. So he moved him, and Chase Elliott snuck in there.
Yeah, and it was kind of harmless, really. I mean, it was just kind of like a harmless short track bump. He didn't wreck him. He didn't nothing. Yeah, he might have angered
perfect.
Kyle, and that's something he doesn't get because, Kyle's just Kyle. But he did what he had to do, man. I mean, I thought that was pretty damn cool. And obviously it made for a really exciting finish. So hopefully we see a little bit more of that. That would be great. You know, it might be kind of tough considering the amount of short tracks on the season. But it was a great race. You know, Brad ended up getting the W. So what do we think? Give it a race rating, Nick?
Oh man, this was definitely one of the best races this year, if not the best. I think I'll give it about an 8.5.
All right, Kane?
Yeah. Well, even though I'm not happy with the outcome, the racing itself was just awesome, and I am going to give it a 7.
All right, I completely agree with that statement. Not my personal preferences are definitely were not great for the day, but doesn't keep me from knowing that this was a really stout race. So I give it an 8. You know, glad to see Martinsville kind of redeem itself from last year. That's just my biggest thing. I thought it was so not great last year, and you saw a glimpse of old style Martinsville. So hopefully we can see that again come chase time.
Yeah, and I actually found an interesting stat too, real quick. And that's Ford's first win there since 2002 when Kurt Busch won.
Yep.
Well, good for those guys. Way to go, Ford! You guys are such an inspiration. All right, the trucks raced this weekend, and what does that mean? Well, where did Cody Coughlin finish? And that big curly-headed fuck came home in 19th. And let's see what he had to say about his race. It was rough out there. It was just tough to pass because there were a lot of slower trucks and nowhere to go. We're all working really hard at TourSport Racing. We just have to unload off the trailer a little better and qualify a little better, which we will. As a team, we hung in there today and had a good top 10 finish going until we were taken out of the last lap. Well, Cody, to correct you just a little bit there, you're running 11th, and you got taken out, by Trace Pisco, so you were correct, but you ran like shit. So, what did you guys think about his day?
He was almost impressive. Almost. Like you said, he got just outside the top 10. But early on, it was not a good start. He pretty much spun himself by getting into the turn 3 too hard. And then he got the wedge wrench stuck in the back of the truck. And then, like I said, he almost got in the top 10. And then he got taken out on the last lap. So, it's Cody Coughlin. What are you going to do?
So yeah, we won't hear from Cody Coughlin again for a little while, but I'm sure when we do, he'll turn in another Cody Coughlin-like result. Jags!
Jags!
Alright, time to hand out some awards for the Martinsville race weekend. And starting off, we're going to go with the boner of the week, and that has to go to Mr. Austin Cindric.
Damn it!
For a very shitty move with less than 20 laps to go in the truck race. He just blatantly went down and blocked the leader, Christopher Bell, on the front stretch, like nearly dragging him to the inside wall, and which ultimately spun himself out off of the front bumper of Christopher Bell and cost Christopher the lead and pretty much the win. So, Austin, his spotter needed to be a little bit more heads up. It was a real bad move. So, boner of the week. Next award.
All right, the next award is Oh Joy, and that goes to Mike Joy. Normally I like the guy, but he seemed a little confused today. During one of the caution pit stops, he screwed up, saying where Ryan Blaney was after he came out of the pits. He said he lost like 16 spots and he was restarting outside the top 20, but really he was restarting, just like around the top 10. So when Blaney actually got to the top 10, or when he was almost like to the top 5, Mike Joy was like, Blaney was flying. He went from like outside the top 20. But, he really just gained a few spots. So, calm down, Mike. Pay attention. The next award is called Sneaky Sneakerson, and that goes to Chase Elliott, who was a little sneaky at the end of Stage 2. As we talked about, he got to the inside of Kyle Busch when Ricky Stenhouse got into the 18 car, and it made for quite a good finish. So, there's that. And then, Kane, what do you have?
Well, I have what the fuck happened there, and that goes to our friend Dale Jr. He actually said that in his in-car audio after being caught up in that crash late in the race when the rear bumper bar of Casey Kane's car impaled his radiator. So, yeah, it's the story of his season so far, and I gotta learn to have faith, man. But it's really hard to keep the faith when every week he seems to screw up. But you know what? I gotta learn sometime, and and this season it's definitely been a trying year for all of us so far, and hopefully it gets better from here on out.
Now it's time for the cigar award, and Kane, who gets the first cigar?
Our first cigar goes to a man who hit everything but the pace car and somehow, someway, still managed to finish 10th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. It's hard to believe that just a day earlier he played an epic April Fool's prank on us by pretending that he proposed to Danica Patrick, and man, I don't know. That was a lot of folks fell for it, and then a lot of folks fell for the fact that he was out of contention for the race, which he pretty much was. But nobody would have thought that he would end up getting a top 10 after the day he had. So nice going there, Mr. Stenhouse.
All right, the next cigar award goes to Clint Boyer, and man, what a start to the season he's been having. He's just having fun. As he would say, he was driving like a greased pig out there. He was making bold moves left and right. It was pretty crazy. He was doing dive bomb moves on people, and it was somehow sticking. he got in a few wrecks as well, and the car was all taped up, and he still somehow came home 7th. So congrats to Clint Boyer. Hopefully more success will follow. And I believe it's about that time once again for the crying towel.
That's true. We have a crying towel to give out. And again, for like the 5th time this season, it goes to Mr. Rowdy Busch. Oh, Kyle, you're pissed off about blowing the race. And the end of stage 2, you got held up by some cars that were still on the lead lap. You couldn't get by them because you shot your tires. Oh, but that's their assholes for hitting you. And Ricky Stenhouse, oh, how dare he move me out of the way just a little bit in a classic short track move to keep himself on the lead lap. I'm just a big old whiny baby. And then Goodyear. Oh, Goodyear, they must have given you a poor set of tires, didn't they? Because they're out to get you, Kyle. Because you're just such a bad man. You get worse tires than everybody else. Because that's what Goodyear wants, right? Yeah, okay, Kyle. Go back to the lower series and get some more wins. Maybe go to the late model series this time and, run some Hoosier tires. I bet they'll be more kind to you, you big crybaby.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
That was emotional, man. I almost needed to get a tissue myself. I mean,
Yeah.
Alright, now it's time for a story. So, kick back, relax. On a very unfortunate day, July 23rd of 2016, I had recently gotten my license just a little over a month and a half before that. I'd gotten it on my birthday. I turned 21. And, I'm riding around in Mooresville with my girlfriend, and what happens? Let's see. I'm on a road. I take a look to my left. Very quick one. I don't notice anybody there. I turned on my blinker. And I turned, and what do you know? I hit a fucking car. And I was not happy. I was extremely pissed off. And it turns out that I hit a pretty much brand new 2015 Black Mustang. So that in itself is embarrassing, along with being the cause of the crash. I get out of the car, I notice the other gentleman, and I don't put it together. It took me about 30 minutes after we exchanged information, insurance information and shit like that. And I take a look at the piece of paper that I got handed by the officer, and I notice, who is it? It's Austin Cindric. And I look him right in the face, and I'm like, holy shit. You run ARCA, don't you? Because I knew exactly who it was. I was just like, wow. I mean, yeah, he's not a big name, and he's not a big name at this point either. But I just knew who he was. He's Tim Cindric's son, who's the VP of Penske's IndyCar operation, and he was the longtime engineer or whatever lead race strategist for Willpower. And I'm just like, man. That really had to happen. I really had to hit somebody, and it had to be a damn race car driver. Now it's just a running gag for me, and just oddly weird that I'll kind of be forever tied to Austin Cindric, for Christ's sake. So, but hey, he's prone to mistakes too, as you saw out on the racetrack. Yeah, that is my story, and it is finally out there. You guys already know it, so you don't even have to react.
I really hope he watches this, though.
Yeah.
I'm very sure he'll find time out of his busy schedule to listen to a podcast that's going to get like 30 views. I'm sure one day somehow I'll say, hey, yeah, remember that guy that hit you? You're like, holy shit. Yeah, sure that'll happen on social media one of these times. But yeah, that is my story of Mr. Cindric. And now it's time to move on to some paint schemes. Enjoy the montage. for the worst paint scheme of the week, we have first a dishonorable mention, and that has to go to what car, Nick?
Eric Almirola's STP Ford.
And why do we hate it?
Because of the tiny logo above the rear tire. I don't know who designed or who placed that, but you have all that space there. It's a nice looking car otherwise. But why is the logo so tiny?
Seriously, that one small logo on the quarter panel section completely disrupts the entire flow of the car. Just like, why? Why did you do that? But that's not even the worst car of the week, and that has to go to Joey Logano's Duralast GT Ford. Now, granted, it's not the worst thing you've ever seen, but this is a very bland paint scheme. It was like they wanted to do their normal little copy and paste base paint scheme, you know, with like Joey's shell, Pennzoil, you know, the way it normally is. But they just like half-assed that version of it and like just made it more plain and dull.
It doesn't make much sense. I mean, you know, good for them for getting Duralast as a sponsor, whatever. But I mean, they could have done so much more with it. You know, that's a good sponsor for a race car, but that's not a good paint scheme for a race car. So I don't get it.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the copy and paste base scheme that they always use, that actually would have looked better on this car than what they used.
Yeah.
It would have, and I don't know why they just didn't do that. Instead, they chose something more bland. So, congratulations, guys. You get the worst paint scheme of the week.
Okay, our next segment is a question for the group, and that question is, what would I add to or change about NASCAR? And I guess I'll go first. And there's a lot that could be, you know, changed about NASCAR, but I'm going to go with changing the cars and doing more to the cars to make the racing better. The lower and lower downforce packages are the right idea, but push that even farther. The car of tomorrow came out in 2007 with an emphasis on safety. They accomplished their goal, but the racing began to suffer for the most part. Even with the Gen 6 cars of today, it still has elements of the COT, like the stupid splitter. Sure, the racing of late hasn't been horrible. Just take Martinsville, for example. But it still feels more stiff compared to the pre-2007 cars. The cars, they seem like, you know, they just don't want to spin out on their own. They'll get sideways, but the side force helps straighten them back out. Now, I'm not saying I want more wrecks per se, I just want them to be more on the edge. Look at the end of the 2003 Darlington race that Ricky Craven won, for example. Those cars are sliding around like crazy. And look what happened. It was one of the best finishes in NASCAR history, because the cars were terrible to drive. Today, the Cup cars look more on a rail, and they're glued to the track, even if they're handling poorly. Even the Truck Series seems to have a better package than that. I love that series, and they consistently have some of the best racing in NASCAR. And guess what? They've changed their vehicles the least, it seems, among the top 3 series. I don't know why Cup doesn't take more notes on that. They took some of the safety aspects from the trucks, like the taller greenhouse area, but I guess they forgot the part that involves great racing. Anyway, to get back to my point, what would I do to change, or what would I change about the cars? I would get rid of the splitter, go back to the valence, raise the noses of the car off the ground. We don't need them being sealed to the track. Again, look at Darlington 2003 and notice how much higher the front of the car is than today. That's one way you lower the downforce. Also, get rid of the shark fin and maybe do something with the shape of the car body somehow to lessen the effects of side force, you know, like with get rid of the fender flares or the flat sides or whatever. I don't know what, but you know, those things don't seem to be helping. It's kind of like a handling assist that saves the car when it gets sideways. The series has so much potential, especially with Monster taking over. They seem to have great ideas, and look how hard they're trying to make the racing better with the stages and everything. Other racing series around the world seem to focus more on technology. This series focuses more on the racing itself, and that's great. However, you can only do so much unless you have the right car to go with the aero package. Look at these stats. I think Jeff Gluck posted it before. It shows the quality passing among the few seasons. Even though they keep taking downforce away, it's not necessarily making the racing better, as you can see. The issue is the engineers are so smart that they always seem to find ways to get that downforce back, and then we're right back to where we started. They need to find a way to stop that from happening, or at least slow it down. There have been plenty of ups and downs, and in general, the current package is moving in the right direction, but just keep pushing it further. Personally, and this may sound contradicting to what I just said, but I think taking a step back and simplifying the cars with the features I mentioned, while at the same time keeping the current safety aspects, would at least be it would be the best of both worlds. I know NASCAR fans don't like change, but sometimes the best change and the best way to move forward is when you take what works now and combine that to what worked over a decade ago. So I know I just, told a novel right there, but that's how it is. Yeah, Kane, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes, actually. Like you were saying, Nick, the racing back in the early to mid 2000s, especially the 2003 Darlington race, was amazing. But you know what? Another thing to add to the cars, in addition to all the changes that you suggested, is bring back more horsepower. Because when you combine this current low downforce package with a much higher amount of horsepower, the cars are going to be way harder to drive than they are now. All right, because honestly, with this low amount of horsepower, the cars they're too easy to drive. Like you said, they're on rails. They're not sliding around all over the place. They're sticking to the track really easily, and obviously that's the aero package that they're running, but also that also combines with the fact that the cars only put out 725 horses. If you bring it up to, say, the old number, which I think is 850. I think that's what it is.
So.
Yeah, if you bring the horsepower back up to 850, these cars are going to be sliding all over the place. And combine that with the changes that Nick just suggested, and we're going to be seeing racing just like we did back in 2003.
Yeah. So, Brian France, if you need any help, listen to the podcast. But Tyler, do you have anything to add to that, or do you have any other thing you want to talk about?
I'm going to make it very simple. I just want to see more short tracks, and hell, even add another road course. And as a result, take away some of the 1.5 mile tracks. A lot of these get a little too repetitive, and we just need more of the classic bump and bang, close, packed action, and you find that at short tracks. For example,
like today.
Martinsville, exactly. My favorite track in the world. I love this. I wanted to see more of that. That's all I want to see. So, simple.
Yeah. I mean, I know, a lot of it has to do with the business of it, and it's like, oh, it's not a good location. We got to go to Las Vegas again. But, I mean, look at Iowa, for example. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's a great short track, though. And, as they say, build it and they will come. And that's what happens.
All right.
Oh, look at Eldora,
Yeah. I mean, they're doing crazy things, and it's working because that's what the fans want to see. Who cares about, the money sometimes?
Now it's time to recap the fantasy picks. And from Martinsville, I picked Brad Keselowski. And for the second week in a row, I come home by picking the race winner and with the overall fantasy victory. So that's a pretty cool deal. I don't normally get that lucky on fantasy picks, but I guess I just did this time. I guess that's my consolation prize because, everything else fucking sucks. So, Nick picked Jimmy Johnson. So Jimmy came home in 15th. Kane, you picked Denny Hamlin, and Denny Hamlin did not fare very well. Where did he end up?
He ended up 30th.
So now we're going to make our picks for Texas. And Kane, who are you picking?
Well, I'm going with a former winner here. He has won 2 of the last 4 spring races here at Texas Motor Speedway. I am going with our favorite crying towel recipient, Kyle Busch.
All right, fair enough. Nick, who do you got?
I am going with Chase Elliott. He has had a pretty good season so far, and with it being a new track, you don't know what you don't know, so I think it'll favor the rookies as much as anyone. So, well, Chase isn't a rookie anymore, but, I think he'll be pretty good there.
All right. I'm going to go with a wild card here a little bit, and he's kind of had some bad luck to start the season, but I think it's time for a Joe Gibbs card to pull through. I'm going to go with Matt Kenseth, and he's going to get the win at Texas. I think he overcomes it. He had a solid race today. I think those guys are going to put together a complete package, come home with the W. So, all right, that is everything done and run through. So that is another episode wrapped up. And again, thank you for listening if you did. For Kane Jr. 88, for Thermite 917, for Middleburg 1 or Junior Nation 5788. This has been Behind the Wall, presented by Perky Jerky. You've been behind the wall. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, this might be becoming...
even...
Damn it, Kane.
Sorry.
Kane, you piece of shit.
I was saying this might be becoming one of the most fun rivalries. Oh, forget it.
Say it again. Try again.
Edit.
Yeah, and our good friend Will is probably celebrating hard right now.
No, to hell with him.
I'm gonna tell him to watch this now.
No,
Yeah.
All right, and now it's time for
And,
these to go. God damn it, Kane. Now it's time for a story. So grab your blankies. I don't even know where I'm going with that. I'll redo this. I'm stuck in a fucking tree right now. This is not a very good situation.
Okay, our next segment is a question for the group, and the question is, what would I change or add about, or add to hold on, do it again.
Was Kane here?
He's in the bathroom.
Oh, he's in the shitter.
And he was talking to me from it. And that was the information I didn't need to be hearing.
Oh. I got a big old juicy one coming.
Yeah.
Oh, Kane. Kane.
He chimed in once, and he's like, "Any progress with Middleburg?" And I'm like,
No.
"No." And I'm like, "How about with you?"
Oh my God.
He's like, "I'm doing okay. The worst part's over." Like, come on.
The worst part's over. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Is he taking a shit, or is he fucking building, a landscaping project in there or something? Like, goddamn.
Yeah.
The worst part's over. Yeah, we just got finished with the sod. That's a pain in the ass. You had to take an angry John, and
Oh yeah. Sorry. I turned off my mic for the worst of it, so you're fine.
Oh my God.
You're all safe.
Yeah, I told him to mute it.
Thank
Yeah.
God. I'm glad you did. Oh shit.
Damn it.
I need to